I used to worry about this kind of stuff. And then for 2 years, I lived opposite the FBI building. And I just accepted that they were for sure listening in on everything that happened in my apartment.
You're across the FBI building?
Not anymore. I used to.
What was that like? Did you see anything shady going?
I haven't told the story about them coming into our buildings. They thought we were hiding Al-Qaeda. Is that how you say it?
Al-Qaeda?
Yeah, whatever. They thought we had terrorists. Did I tell you the story?
They thought you were a terrorist?
Swear on my life. So this is the whole thing.
It's the worst intel they could possibly deliver.
I'm so
Meriel Day is priority one.
So I used to live in this big loft with me and 5 guys. And we were like, yeah, sounds bad. No, they were like my best.
Sounds like okay.
They were like my best friends.
Wait, I've been there.
You had
Tribeca.
that giant loft, the ugly one. It was
Great
actually
time.
so much fun. It was this massive loft. It was hideous, but had a huge living room. We'd throw tons of parties. Yeah. I never went to college. So I was 21 living here, and that was kind of my college experience, right? And, you know, we were 21. There was a lot of semi-illegal stuff going on. You know, one of my roommates had a ring binder full of fake IDs for anyone who wanted to go to a club.
Pee and poo parties?
Never that far.
Oh,
we'll talk about that later. We had like acid in the freezer, I think, someone.
You didn't know which ice cube was acid and which one was actually water? You're like, what am I going to have with my Gatorade?
Another friend of mine had just pickle jars of weed under his bed.
Wait, what?
Just like big pickle jars full of weed.
Oh, okay. He didn't pickle weed.
No.
Because that would be genius.
He just kept it in large jars. Anyway, we lived opposite the FBI building, and everyone in that whole building was probably under the age of 25 because it was a really ugly building in New York, and no one with any decency would live there.
But over 21.
Yeah. Anyway, so one night my roommate comes in, and he's Polish. I'm English, the rest from America, right? So one night my roommate comes in and he goes, "Hey, there's like tons of police out front." And I go, "Well, that's weird. I wonder why." And then my friends were joking like, "Oh, they're after you two because you're foreign. They're gonna, deport you." Anyway, then our intercom buzzes and we check it, and in the little screen, there's just a SWAT team in the little intercom screen, and they go, "Hi, we're coming up. Please let us in." And we go, "Okay." So we buzz them up, and they. Okay, listen.
Warrant. What for?
No. Listen, it's the FBI. I'm glad.
Yeah, warrant. So what for?
I'm glad. I'll tell you this. So they knock on our door, and we open the door, and it's full SWAT team. It's FBI, Homeland Security, and NYPD in bulletproof gear at our front door. 10 of them, and they're looking at us, and we're just like this, staring back. And they say, "Hey, can we come in?" We don't say anything. And the guy says, "Can 2 of us come in? We just want to talk to you." And my of course you think like warrant, but my friend who's there, who's real like this, was like, "Look, if we ask for a warrant, they're going to come back within 2 minutes from a warrant and just raid the place."
She doesn't know that.
It was a boy. It was a man.
He doesn't know that.
Anyway, they said, "Can we talk to you?" So we go, "Okay." And I'm glad we cooperated, and I'll tell you why. So they come in and they say, "Hey, here's the deal. About an hour ago, someone flew a drone off your building over the FBI building and back to our building again. And that's a major security threat. And we need to come look at this place to make sure you're okay. Or to make sure like nothing suspicious is happening." They didn't care if we were okay. And then once they got in, they realized it was just some crummy apartment with a bunch of like 21-year-olds. But they were like, "Who lives in this apartment?" And like 4 of us raised our hands. And they were like, "Okay, and who makes the most money here?" And we ratted out my friend so fast. We're like, "Jordan does." He makes the most out of all of us.
Why would that matter?
And they would go, "Okay." And they said this. They said this, legit, no joke. He goes, "No one's hiding any terrorists, are you?" Like trying to be jokey. And we went, "No." And I forgot the best part. Between like when they buzzed downstairs and coming up. Yeah. Chaos. One friend leaps over the couch, is pushing his weed under the bed. The other friend's grabbing his acid from the freezer and throwing it in a safe. Someone's shoving their fake IDs down the back of the sofa, like panicking, trying to strip the place in like 2 minutes. And I'm just sitting there on the couch because I'm the only one that didn't have illegal stuff going, "Who do I live with and what is happening right now?" Anyway, they come in and they go, "We need to..."
You just see all these immigrants running out of a room. You're like, they were here the whole time. It's like, go.
They said, "We just need to look around." They said, "Can we look around?" And we go, and they go, "Can we just stick our head around each door? We just want to make sure there's no other families living here apart from you guys." And they did, to their credit. They just looked in each room, and as soon as they saw it was just, some dumb 20-year-old's room, they were chill about it. But they came in and they searched top to bottom the entire building. And they went to our rooftop and they searched the rooftop. And then they actually came and talked to us and were like, "Here's what happened. Obviously we know you guys aren't a problem. Do any of you have a drone that you were just like mucking around with?" None of us did. And they still don't, I guess they kind of concluded it must have been some kid with a drone just not realizing the threat of flying a drone over the FBI building. But once they came in and they saw and they looked on our rooms, they were really chill and they sat down and explained to us. But opening your front door and seeing the SWAT team is a real scary experience.
Yeah,
let me
totally.
tell you. That's a lot. And then they asked us, like, where are we from? Because I have an accent. And they asked us again if other families live there apart from us.
See, I feel like this is, I don't know what side of the fence I'm on in this, because in one instance, it's like New York City is so crazy.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine what it's like to try to like
keep it safe.
Yeah. Right? Because anyone and their mother can go through the Holland Tunnel, right? Mm-hmm. And how many times have you heard stories about people who successfully brought in guns and bombs, but are stopped at the end of the Holland Tunnel, right? So, and then we have like machete attacks, we have hatchet attacks, right? We don't really have many shootings unless you're in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So at one instance, I'm like, all right, you kind of have to protect it. But also, how weird of an experience is that? Who here makes the most money?
Well, here's the thing too. Okay.
Right?
So,
and it's like, I need to know who lives here. I need to know everyone's name.
They didn't ask
I need
names.
to get access to your building. I don't have a warrant. I'm showing up, guns up. You have to let me in. What would have happened if you said no?
So if we'd said no, I reckon
turn this down a little bit.
They would have come back with a warrant and searched the place, right?
Okay, but that's the legal way of doing it.
Yeah, but they asked politely. They said, "Hey, can two of us come in and talk to you?" And honestly, I think even if they'd found like, weed and alcohol and stuff, they wouldn't have cared. They were looking for like a major terrorist threat. They didn't care what we were doing in that apartment. They just wanted to make sure we weren't a threat to the city. And to their credit, they were very polite. And then when they looked, they didn't lift anything or search. They just stuck their heads in the rooms. And once they saw we had like, shitty posters on the wall,
right,
and like tiny beds shoved into crappy bedrooms, they were super chill and they were very nice to us. And they realized that we weren't a threat. We were just a bunch of kids.
I have an opposite story of that.
And they were very polite to us and very nice. And they stayed in our building for a couple hours because they went to every apartment and like searched the roof because it's a security threat. That's the major FBI building, but they really weren't difficult. And I think, obviously I understand, get a warrant or whatnot, but I'm actually really glad in that case we cooperated because they didn't cause a problem. They didn't flip stuff out. They didn't stay in our apartment long. They were very nice and just like, we just have to check that everything's okay. If they come into our apartment and there was like a money printing machine and like, I guess, I don't know what kind of stuff do suspicious people have in their apartment, explosives, then that would have been a bigger issue.
See, here's my issue with that is like, I agree with you 9 times out of 10, it's okay. Right?
Yeah.
But when you're that 1 out of 10 person and it's not you,
yeah, agreed,
and they break the law to come in and they find an excuse.
That wasn't breaking the law.
I have a story for you.
They asked.
I have a story for you where it went bad.
Okay, but they didn't break the law because they asked and we let them in.
Right.
And I'm glad we did.
They did ask and let you in. Right. But they showed up full guns. Yeah. Like it wasn't like a representative
they
and
weren't
everyone
like this though. They weren't pointing them in our face, but
they had a SWAT team on your video comm. Do you know how like small square footage?
It was really scary.
It's like
and then
able
when it
to
opened the
capture
door
by camera
in our narrow hallway, it was just filled of like bulletproof vests all the way down the hallway.
Right.
But
and they asked to go in with everybody armed.
They
and
said,
not.
"Can we come in?" And then we didn't say anything. And he goes, "Can two of us come in and talk to you?"
Right.
And
but do you see how it started with, I'm going to give you the most intimidating answer. All of us are coming in. That's not working. Okay, I'll pull back a little bit. You don't think that's weird?
No, that's what police do. That's what FBI and this wasn't police either. This was FBI and Homeland Security. It was a little more than just the NYPD.
I understand, but you have rights.
Yeah, and then we said no, and they go, okay, well, we didn't say no, we said nothing, and they said, "Can two of us come in?" And if we said no, then they would have been like, "Great, we'll be back with a warrant."
Great, yeah, and I would have been like, okay, great.
And they would have had it in 2 seconds because it's the FBI building and we're right by the courthouse. So I was like, just come in.
2 seconds, we'll see about that.
2 seconds, more time to hide drugs.